Are audible, and we're live.
Audible has thousands of
All right, let me make a little marker here, and then we'll go live. Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm Aaron Julian, and this is WSTR Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 164. Today, we are talking about fear. We're talking about hope. And we're talking about a galaxy far, far away and, well, the ever-present threat to our galaxy in our present state. We've got a full cast here today. We've got Miss Carla Giacalone.
Hello.
Welcome. We've also got Miss Heather Allred.
The cats are eating something in my closet. I'm
Oh,
gonna
no.
go deal with it.
Okay.
But I'll
What
be
a great-
back.
What a great introduction.
Speaking of threats to the galaxy, Mr. J.D. Barrow, welcome to the show. On your own for the first time.
On my own. I'm what's that famous song? I'm all by myself.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Mr. Todd Hoffman. Welcome back.
Hello there. Yes.
And special guest, we've got Rob from the Jedi Temple Archives podcast. Welcome back to the show, Rob.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying it right. That's a rarity.
Yes. Well, we've all got a lot more time for podcasting these days, so might as well take advantage of it. How are you holding up?
I'm doing great. I'm going to set you up with Pat and Charles from Conversation so you can teach them how to say the name of the podcast.
How badly did they botch it?
I use it as one of the lead-ins to the podcast sometime. I'll send you the audio clip, but
Awesome.
It's a good couple minutes elapsed.
Excellent. Yeah, so you're dialing in from Michigan, is that right?
I am, yeah.
Cool.
Also under lockdown, right? So
Yeah,
We're all locked down.
the
night
governor
raids are going to be starting soon.
Absolutely. Well, with that said, let's just jump right into it with Cantina Chat. Okay, so Cantina Chat, that part of the show where we just talk about everything nerdy that we are up to as of late. Rob, since we got you on the spot, let's get started with you. What have you been up to in the nerd realm as of late?
Oh, I'm always in the nerd realm. So if I'm not podcasting Star Wars or joining other Star Wars podcasts, I just got the digital copy last Friday of Rise of Skywalker. I've watched that 3 times, plus the 2-hour kind of behind the scenes, which was excellent. So I highly recommend that to anyone who has not seen it. Just went through a second rewatch of Westworld season 2 with my wife, kind of getting her caught up. We're kind of letting season 3 buffer up a little bit before we get started on that. And I've got the Rise of Skywalker audiobook that I'm working on currently. So
Right on.
also like halfway through Aftermath Life Dead. I was behind on my reading, so figured I'd get caught up on that as well.
Awesome. Yeah, what do you think of it so far? Either the audiobook or the Dead Tree book?
Yeah, the first book in the series was slow. I actually found myself like cheering about the death of Snap Waxley in Rise of Skywalker. I
Take it back.
get one Mark, is it Mark Anderson?
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman that does the audiobooks.
Mark Thompson.
Mark Thompson.
Mark Thompson.
Does an excellent job of portraying him as kind of like the whiny kid. So, but he's been a lot better in Life Debt, and the story's definitely progressing. Happy to kind of get into that Gallius Rax arc, which is going to tie into some of the stuff we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Awesome. And if you'd like to hear some more about Mark Thompson, check out our interview with him, episode 142. Okay, Carla, you've been gone a spell. What have you been up to?
Oh, trying to keep my sanity, guys.
Yeah, a lot of that going around.
I mean, I thought things were crazy before. It's like out of control now. No, but just trying to figure out at this point now when I'm gonna move out to Colorado. I don't know when that's gonna happen, depending on how long we're all in a state of lockdown with all the stuff going on. But just been trying to keep myself busy. I started watching that behind the scenes movie of the Rise of Skywalker. I got to finish that. I got the book, so I'm going to be reading the book sometime soon. What else? I've been really busy selling off my Funko Pops, which
That's sad though.
I'm like sad to part with them, but they're laying in boxes and I have no space for them. Heather got some.
Hey.
So yeah, but selling those off. I got to bust out my sewing machine and really get to use with that. I'm upgrading my Jin costume. So, and then yeah, That's pretty much it. Oh, and I'm waiting for my Switch to come from Mike out in Colorado because he took
Animal
it with him.
Crossing.
He packed it all in the box, and then I'm like, dude, where's my Switch? And he's like, oh, oops. I'm like, yeah, because Animal Crossing came out, and I want to play. So.
There it is.
Priorities, man. Priorities.
Yeah. Well, now's the perfect time, right?
Yeah, I've got a lot of friends playing that right now.
I'm going to sink the next 45 hours into Animal Crossing.
Might as well. Well, good to have you back. And glad to hear that you're doing okay, despite, chaos for everybody at this point.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
Awesome. All right, Heather, your turn. What have you been up to? All right, Heather, your turn. What have you been?
So I have been doing some crocheting. And yeah, so I've been working on that. And when you are crocheting, you have a lot of downtime, so you start to watch some movies. So started watching a lot of my classics. So I got through Brigadoon, Charade, and The Women, the 1939 edition, not the remake. I'll be moving into my Hitchcock realm here shortly because I don't think that needs an explanation. So that's been fun. Much like Carla, going crazy a little bit, but I'm an introvert, so I'm handling it pretty okay. I unfortunately, due to everything, 2 troops that I wanted to do got nixed. So I decided to troop around my house and make little motivational videos for people. So if you have not seen those, check out the socials because they're out there, which is pretty great. And then
that's commitment right there, man.
Oh yeah. And then my RC car got delivered, but all of my meetups for my mouse droid building have been canceled because we can't talk to each other. So so that's all been postponed, but I'm starting to get the parts and work with people for the 3D printing pieces. And yeah, I'm all resituated working at home now. So that's my life.
What kind of RC car is it?
It's a Traxxas Bandit.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right.
There's this old brand of RC cars I used to have, like Warthogs, Air Hogs, something like that. But is this like a step above that?
Sure.
All right.
I asked the people what to get.
Is it made like specifically for the mouse droid build?
I don't know that it's made specifically for the mouse droid build, but I think it's one of the most popular for the mouse droid build.
Easy, yeah.
Because it's the easiest, I guess, for the manipulation. Yeah.
You guys should do like a build, like a stream, kind of like this. I know some people have been doing that, like armor party streaming and stuff.
The tricky part for me though is that I need the other people for some of the parts.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I've got my crochet. So working on
I love the fact that you bought an RC car just for a mouse droid. I think that's like so committed.
I drank the Kool-Aid and I drink all of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Heather. JD, you're up next. What have you been up to?
Well, speaking of Kool-Aid,
Oh no.
So I've always been, I guess what I would call a casual fan, or maybe an outside observer of a little franchise, not very big, not many people know about it, called Total War Warhammer. And lately I sunk my teeth into it over spring break, the first week of spring break, because I bought the game. I bought both the games many moons ago when they were on sale, but just knew how much of a time commitment they were. So I was always like, So spring break, I got into them, and they pulled me in. And then I was like, okay, school's coming back, and everything's gonna be fine, and just move on. School didn't come back.
No, it did not.
And now, since starting it up on the like 8th, like the 8th of this month, so just over 2 weeks ago now, I have a few hours clocked in.
Just a few.
Just a
A
few.
few hours.
Just a 70 hours. Just a few hours.
We won't judge. We won't judge.
Yeah, because the way the game works, if you guys have never played it or never seen it played, is that it's all turn-based. And so every single time you're like, okay, end a turn, I'll save, and I'll get off. And then as soon as the whole turn timer runs through all the different factions that you're fighting against, you get bombarded with all these notifications. You're like, okay, I'll take care of the notifications, then I'll save and log off. And then it's like, oh, it's the end of my turn. I might as well end the turn and save it. It just never stops.
Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not having a job and being isolated. Other than that, I have gotten into a bit of writing, a bit of fiction writing, because I used to enjoy that. I just never had the time. And then I think I'm almost done with my second Warhammer campaign, so you can kind of see how long these things take. And I think once that's done, because I'm kind of feeling a little burned out, I have some books that I've been meaning to read, catch up on, from the Lies of Loch Lamora series. And so, yeah, going to be writing and reading a lot, and I guess maybe doing classes. I don't know. I might just not do classes. That's been my life.
All right.
We lost Todd. All right.
Oh no. All right. We'll get him back soon enough. But yeah, thank you, JD.
Too much socializing for one day.
Yeah. The plague got him. Okay, I'll go up next.
Just like that. He didn't wash his hands. He was gone.
Yep. Okay. I'll Peter locked up. He'll be right back. Okay. So
Aaron, what have you been doing?
yeah. Well, JD got me into Warhammer 2 as well. And for those who don't know, it's like you basically have like giant armies of lizard men or rat men or elves or whatever, and you just like throw them into battle, and it's just these huge like Lord of the Rings, Helm's Deep battles that you try to win. And
Excellent.
so I've been enjoying that. Same day that Animal Crossing came out, another light entertainment game came out, Doom Eternal. So
Light entertainment.
I've been ripping and tearing my way through Hell's Armies since that came out. So much fun. Like
Very Christian game then.
it is. It's perhaps the most Christian game out there. I seriously can't recall the last time I felt like an adrenaline rush from a game where I was like, there's this challenging part of it where I'm like pushed to the limits of my skill, and I'm like just ahead like of almost dying, and I managed to make it out the other side, and I'm like, whoa. So that was really fun. Still working through it. And Call of Duty Warzone, free-to-play battle royale game that the makers of Call of Duty have put out. That's been pretty fun to just like jump in with some friends. But yeah, other than that, it's I do have some good news. I got approval to stay on campus for the rest of the semester,
Yay!
so that's fun. Don't have to find a place to live. And other than that, yeah, just doing my thing, working on the podcast. Yeah, that's what I've been up to. So yeah, let's maybe give it another minute for Todd to come back. In the meantime, let's go ahead and pay some bills. So this podcast is supported by some of our sponsors here, which we will get to in a second. First, you can find all of us on the socials. Heather at Hawk Awesome, Carla at Carla Marie Giac, Giac, Todd Ti 4Zs OD, myself Aaron Houlian, HOUILLON on Instagram, and WSTR at WSTR Media. Rob, you want to plug your socials while we're at it?
Yeah, basically JTA podcast on all of them, no Z's. So,
all right,
Todd, them all. There were none left.
Someone's got to bring balance to the Z Force. All right, you can email us at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. Leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. We want to hear from you. Our entire back catalog of episodes, all relevant links can be found at podcast.wstrmedia.com. Let's take a minute to tell you why you should check out Audible. So everybody has a lot more time on their hands on now than they know what to do with. So why not make use of that time to educate yourself, entertain yourself, and dare I say, edutain yourself. Head on over to audibletrial.com/WSTR, where you can get a free 30-day trial of Amazon's premier audiobook streaming service. That includes one free audiobook of your choice from their library of 500,000 titles and 2 free Audible originals, the selection of which changes out every month. And you can continue with that. 1 free audiobook a month, 2 free Audible originals. Or you can cancel at any time, no questions asked. We still get paid. You still get your books. You can keep forever. Everybody wins. That's audibletrial.com/WSTR for your free trial today. We also got merch at our merch store, thanks to the kind folks at Teespring. That's store.wstrmedia.com. Head on over there to cover you and your loved ones head to toe in WSTR merch. We're also supported by our generous patrons over at patreon.com/WSTRmedia. Our current patrons, Mr. Jason Handy, Mr. Jeremy Myers, and the Scarif Scuttlebutt. They are underwriting this show by a great margin. So if you want access to exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else, including Heather's Holocron series, bunch of fun with me and JD and various guests with Starside Chat, and our exclusive Discord community, just head on over to patreon.com/WSTRmedia. Throw one of your, coffee, latte, whatever drinks onto the ground. You're going to do it anyway because you can't go out anymore.
Can't go get coffee this month, so why not head over to patreon.com /
Toss a coin to your podcast and get access to what Jason, Jeremy, and the Scare Scuttlebutt are enjoying already. Okay, bills are paid. Let's skip back to Cantina Chat with Mr. Todd. What have you been up to during this time?
It's pretty much like a repeat of Rob there. So going through the audiobook for Rise of Skywalker, got sent home, so I'm working from home now. Clone Wars is really, really good. They just visited 1313. And so I had explained to Trent that was the best game that was never made. So I had to talk to him about that. But it's very similar to the trailer, which was kind of cool. We've been playing Untitled Goose Game, and you're just a goose and you wrake havoc in a little town.
Oh, it's the best.
Oh my gosh, we're having so much fun with that. So busted that out and playing that. I'm playing a little Rocket League as well. So having fun with that since we're like stay-at-home mode. And then I just purchased Doom, so I have to slay some demons. So I'm very excited for that. And again, like Rob, I'm watching Westworld season 2, and that's like some of the best sci-fi out there. So
awesome.
I really enjoy that.
And a stellar guest spot on the Jedi Temple Archives podcast last week.
I know, right?
Hey, look at you go.
I know. He calls me up at the last second. Do you want to talk about Knights of Ren? I'm like, the Knights of who? Yes, of course. So
awesome.
We did that. Yeah, we did
My
that.
hero.
So. Yeah. Oh.
We're podcasts. We got to look out for each other.
That's right.
All right, Heather, you want to tease that news?
Sure, and honor. All right, I have 3 items for you today. And the first one is, hey, Okay.
All
The
right.
second one is 1984.
A fearful
Think about
year.
where you were in 1984. Were you even here in
Yeah, I don't-
1984?
I was
Yeah.
non-existent.
Carla was
Yeah.
not with us in 1984.
Didn't exist.
Nope.
Oh my gosh. And then,
Aaron and JD, did you exist? You didn't, right?
No.
Yeah. Wow.
Wasn't even a sparkle in my dad's eye.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then the three of us, Rob, Todd, and I, we can tell you where we were in 1984. And then lastly, I am your father.
Right on.
It was a good Darth Vader right there. I'll give you props.
I'm a girl. I can't get that low in the voice register. I will
Right.
never be James Earl Jones. I don't know what you want from me.
Believe in your dreams, Heather. Believe
Aw,
in
thanks.
Earl Jones.
Oh, good times. So that's all I've got.
All
You'll
right.
get more information later.
Tune in next week and find out.
Same
That's a
bat time.
huge tease.
Same bat channel.
That's a huge news tease. It's like, no, wait, you got to come back next week and we'll drop the news, right?
Yeah, then we'll tell you about it.
Oh my gosh. But all right, Carla.
We got some intercepted Imperial transmissions.
Ooh.
All right, so this one is a voicemail from Josh, and he's talking to us about some show ideas for Disney Plus, and we're going to play it for you right now.
Sorry,
All right.
live stream
Wow.
watchers.
What
we
a
don't have
what
it
a good
queued up.
voicemail.
We don't currently have the ability to play back stuff like that on live stream, but we'll figure it out.
It's like tradition now. I got to do that every time.
Right,
So we got an
yeah.
audio clip. We all pause and then wow.
That's
What a,
amazing.
No, but super cool idea. Have you guys ever seen Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
Space Ghost
Yes.
Coast to Coast. No.
Yes. Oh my
No?
gosh.
It used to come
was
on
so
Adult
good.
Swim, like late at
Yes.
night, like super. Like I remember they would play Space Ghost, and then they would play the Brack Show.
Oh, I've
Yeah,
seen
Brack
that.
Remember
was
Yeah.
that
the best.
was? That was
Brack
the
was
best.
the best.
Yeah, he was like the praying mantis. Or no, that was
That's Zorak.
No. That's Zorak, yeah.
yeah, Bracky's got like the upward fangs.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've like seen that, but I'm not like sat down and watched an episode of it, you know?
Oh, it's hilarious.
So they would just like intersplice like Space Ghost talking to people like in a David Letterman type thing, but then they would mix up all these different clips, and it was supposed to be a talk show, and it was super hilarious. So I think that's a great idea for Star Wars. We should have Babu Frick, MC it, and you'll be set.
Well, I think Josh said like having Hondo be like the host or something, and maybe
Yeah.
like Babu Frick could just like pop down like out of nowhere. Hey!
He'd be like the Ed McMahon, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of yes, it'd be like, hey.
Oh, that's awesome.
Ah, that's great.
Rob,
Thanks.
you've been to Galaxy's Edge, right?
I've been to Galaxy's Edge on both coasts.
Oh my gosh!
I am
Speaking
very
about
lucky.
coast to coast.
It was coast to coast.
How is Mr. Hondo in Galaxy's Edge?
He is enormous. He's like 8 feet tall.
Okay.
Super realistic, though. I mean, you could hear people in the crowd talking about the fact that they're like, "Where did they get this actor? He's so tall." I mean, it is a ridiculously realistic animatronic. So one of the best things in the land prior to them opening Rise of the Resistance. But he's just voiced to perfection. They capture, that character. He's kind of more the, certainly more the Rebels Hondo Ohnaka than what you saw in the Clone Wars. Kind of that softer edges, but just sarcastic about everything. When he's giving you your damage report after you're done with your mission on the Falcon, he just shames you.
That's awesome.
I was trying to open the cargo containers to see if Melch was in one of them. No play.
Nice. That's awesome.
Like
So
fun.
I like Josh's idea here. I think it would be fantastic.
And Honda would be perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you,
thanks,
Josh, for
Josh.
calling into our voicemail, leaving that for us. And I think that's everything for intercepted Imperial transmission, which leaves us with our next little bit, Carla.
We got to take out the trash, guys. All right. So
Love
for
transitions, they're just really good.
You won't get quality podcasting transitions like this anywhere else.
Sorry.
All right. So for the Twitter trash compactor this week, we asked the question: do you believe the Force is a ... hashtag Star Wars, hashtag Wednesday Wisdom, comments welcomed? And the choices were energy field, sentient, yin and yang, or tool. What are we thinking, guys? Rob, how about you? What would you say the Force is?
It's a toss-up between kind of the energy field and sentient. I think of it more as sentient when you're dealing with like the kyber crystals, calling out to the Jedi and the Force. So there's clearly there's a connection there to a specific individual. So it's not just totally mindless, but certainly it needs the Jedi and the Sith to kind of flow through to kind of work its will on the universe. You hear them talking in the original Star Wars about Obi-Wan talking to Luke about the fact that it obeys your command, but it also directs your actions. So it's a little bit of both in my mind, kind of in between. That's all.
Right.
Aaron, how about you?
I'd have to
What do
go
you
with. We had a whole discussion on this last episode, episode 163. I would have
That's
to
how
go
the polls
with,
work, Aaron. They're
know.
related to the topic. That's
What?
how you do it.
Yeah, you gotta listen to the episodes, do your homework before you weigh in.
Right.
I would probably go with yin and yang. It's like the tides. Like there's going to be times of chaos and there's going to be times of order, and it's gonna sometimes flow, like ebb and flow gradually from one to the next. Sometimes it's going to flip violently from one to the other. And you can't really have too much of either one, light side or dark side. So, and there, as a result, there's going to be times of turbulence and violence and unrest. And there's going to be times where it's peaceable and stable. And that's just how the universe works. So that would be my vote.
Cool. All right. Heather, how about you?
Yeah. I feel like this is going to be a big shock to all of my people. I would go sentient. I'm a feeler, people. I truly believe that the idea of actions from an emotion can be good or bad and can really drive kind of how a situation goes. And I think that's clearly seen within the Star Wars universe, that they have the choice of which way they go, or an emotional reaction to something situational launches them down some type of path. So that's my opinion.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Heather. JD, you're up.
Clearly, it's midichlorians.
Clearly.
But that I feel like
Master
that would've been
Qui-Gon,
funny.
what are midichlorians?
I do feel like that would have been a funny answer to put on the poll. I wonder how many people would have voted for that, just like to troll, essentially. But no, I'm as Aaron, Todd, and I had a long discussion about. I'm very much on the sentient side of things. I think the Force is to blame for all the problems in the galaxy. And yeah, I think it's not like this super controlling, like malicious mastermind person in the background. I don't go for that idea, but more so just it's an energy force. It has a sentience, kind of like what Rob was saying with the kyber crystals. It's aware of itself. It's aware of what's going on, and it wants to be in balance, right? Because that's what people are always talking about. Oh, the balance of the force, the balance of the force. And you even see a little bit of this in canon with that really weird Clone Wars arc where you got the dad and the daughter and the son.
Mortis.
Yeah.
It's just weird. But there's definitely this idea that the Force has a mind of its own, and it is kind of manipulating things now and again. Yeah. So.
Todd?
I'm thinking yin and yang with Mr. Aaron. So I feel like there has to be a balance, and there's a dark side and a light side, and so that's kind of where I land, and a little bit of sentient too. But yeah, yin and yang for me.
And Carla?
I want to say like mostly my vote goes towards energy field, but I also feel like there is that yin and yang component to it as well. But I think I'm more of like old school Obi-Wan, it's an energy force that flows through everything and it is a part of everything. So
energy moves as a wave anyway, right? So you can have it all three. Clearly not cool though.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Unless it starts wearing wife beaters.
That's a real tool.
Born in the 70s, man.
Oh my gosh. Carla, what did Twitter vote of?
So it looks like energy field came out on top with 60%. That was the winner.
Yeah.
And then there was a tie between sentient and yin and yang, both with 20%, and tool got 0%.
I should have put in midichlorians for Tool.
Should have put them in. But they just get like 90%. Everybody's just like, ha ha ha, that's funny.
But nobody wrote it in. We asked for comments, and no one was brave enough to.
None of the comments. No brave soul came out to speak.
Well, I know Charles. At one point, there was balance in the Force, and they were all like 33% at one point, and we're like, it was pretty funny. So Charles pointed that out. He's like, "Dude, it's balanced." I'm like, "Oh man, somebody got to vote."
JD, you should make a sleeper account and post ridiculous write-ins on all of our posts until people put more sensible ones.
I'll make an account called WSTR Unofficial. Start spamming the comments of everything that WSTR posts. WSTR
gosh.
Dark Side, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, well, that is the Twitter trash compactor. Todd, let's get right into it with our main topic.
All right, Rob, you're our guest, and so you're on the hot seat right now. So, why don't you explain to our listeners, how did you get into Star Wars?
was born into Star Wars, I guess.
Clearly, you were born before 1984 too.
Slightly before 1984. I was probably like 4 years old when the original film came out. I remember going. My dad was insistent on taking us to go see it at the drive-in theater. So I just remember sitting in the back of the car, had the speaker hanging on the rear window with that lovely Skywalker sound coming through it. Oh wait, that was before all that.
You might have to explain to the kids what a drive-in is.
I know. Yeah, it's not where you pull up and they give you your food. So no, it was there right from my very early childhood. Certainly having the whole trilogy come out right when I was in that core age range that the films were supposed to be directed at. All the toys that came out, it was really a merchandise empire that evolved during a period of time where I was certainly right in that wheelhouse for those toys. And then the dark times after 1983 rolled around and Return of the Jedi came out, and it didn't sound like we were going to get any more Star Wars. So I've been reading what is now Star Wars Legends, the expanded universe books, all the way up to the prequels. I've always had my finger on the pulse of Star Wars, and it's just been kind of one of the cores of my life.
That's so awesome. Very cool. All right. So how did that energy change and propel you into doing a Star Wars podcast?
I was just looking for a way to kind of share my fandom with other people out there. And kind of one of the things that inspired me was my wife, who always enjoyed watching the Star Wars films, didn't really get into a lot of the original content, none of the shows, none of the books. And so, especially with the sequel trilogy that has just wrapped up, they've kind of gone more and more into an area where to really truly understand a lot of what's going on in the movie, you have to know some of the supporting information. And some of that could be true of the prequel films as well. Certainly Clone Wars provides a lot of context for Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So we would have conversations about stuff, and I would explain aspects of it to her just based on the knowledge that I had. And then my oftentimes co-host Tom Howell and I, he was talking about possibly doing a Star Wars podcast, but he already had a Disney podcast and didn't really have the time on his hands to get it up and running. And I just took it as my opportunity to, start a podcast and meet some fellow Star Wars fans and get some information out there that hopefully would bring some more enjoyment to other people's viewing of or reading of any of the Star Wars content that's out there.
So you're kind of like the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, and I mean it was a perfect fit with the Jedi Temple archives, kind of a repository of knowledge, and it was a good fit for what my mission was with the Star Wars podcast. So it was just kind of all fit together exactly the way it was supposed to.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right. Well, you passed the trial, so I know you have like 5 questions for your guests. We only do 2 here. Yeah, we do 2. So. But tonight we're going to be talking about how kind of topical about how the Empire uses fear to rule the galaxy, and so as you know, there's a lot of fear going on right now with this whole virus thing. So we thought, hey, the Empire kind of did that to the galaxy. So if you don't recall, remember in A New Hope, how Tarkin was talking to his what would you call that? His Grand Moffs, and basically said, how will Emperor maintain control without bureaucracy? And Governor Tarkin basically said, the regional governors now have direct control over the territories, and fear will keep the local systems in line. Fear of this battle station. What do you guys think of that quote?
Funnily enough, I have the Lego Death Star sitting on my desk right behind my computer right now. Very poignant topic.
Yes.
It's a very chilling line. And yeah, they don't make a big deal of it in the movie. Like if it was in the prequels or like a modern Disney thing, they'd spend like 20-30 minutes on it and lead you through this whole huge set of the Senate in this dramatic vote to like remove themselves from power or whatever.
Right.
So it's kind of a throwaway line, but the implications of it are horrific. Like, there's no kind of representational democracy at all. It's just the emperor says what he wants, and all the regional governors, they keep everybody in line. And that's just how the empire operates from there on out. They rule the galaxy by fear. And
yeah, if that was made in kind of the prequels era, we'd get a whole like 20 minutes of a debate, and then Jar Jar Binks would show up and be like, I think we should just get rid of the Senate. And and that would take up like a third of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a testament to how well that could actually work insofar as when fear rules the day, then your average person is just going to succumb to that instead of the hero who will rise up and say like, no, we're not gonna operate like this anymore. This is not how the galaxy is going to be. But it takes a lot of guts to do that, and so it's easy to draw parallels to our situation now, where you have these kind of uninformed idiots who are also ruled by fear going out and buying all the toilet paper in the world.
And all the ice cream. All the ice cream's gone, guys.
Yeah, all the ice cream, lots of frozen goods and such. They're all just gone. And so yeah. Are we going to let fear rule the day, or are we going to come together, use reason, and all the hope that we can put in the future to make this a good situation out of a bad one?
Yeah, I think the other thing that's interesting about it is that whole situation within A New Hope was that it wasn't just when you have people that have ideals and they're willing to fight for them, like the rebellion did. It's one thing to sit there and say, I'm going to fight for this, and if I die, I'm willing to lay down my life for this. But when all of a sudden innocent people that you care about may also be harmed, and certainly in that particular scenario, on a planetary scale, everyone, your entire planet could be destroyed, it's going to make you hesitate a little bit more. And in some ways there's a parallel with what's going on right now, because while like for me, my company has me covered. I'm working remotely. I'm able to isolate a little bit more. I know that there's some sick time set aside in case anything were to happen. So I have some protections. For me personally, my wife is a state employee. They're still having to, show up in the office. If they get sick, they have to burn their personal and leave time before they get any kind of coverage. So it has a much bigger implication to her. If I get it and she ends up getting it through me, I'm going to feel, I would feel terrible, because not only does that affect her health, but there's other implications. She's not going on a vacation anytime soon. It's one of those things, and now there's stories out there about kids, sneezing on produce or whatever, that are putting other people at risk just through their reckless actions. So that's a whole nother level of sad. But it's one thing to be afraid for yourself. It's another thing to be afraid for people that you care about.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I live in a building full of old folks. It's like a mixture of student housing and Section 8 Chicago housing. And so for me, it's more like I'm not really worried if I catch it, but unknowingly transmitting it to a bunch of at-risk people in my building is like I can't tolerate that at all. So really makes me think twice about going out when I don't need to.
Heather, got anything to add?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that fear can become so powerful is when it relates to the lack of knowledge and education behind whatever the topic is. And I think, if you look at the Empire having all this knowledge that someone maybe on, Tatooine doesn't have, because all they're worried about is getting, converters or whatever, it can be a real thing. And I think that's part of what is making it tricky now for us is, who do you believe? What knowledge do you listen to? Who do you listen to? And so that's when then you look to the facts of what needs to be done. And so I think that's an interesting concept as well, is lack of knowledge induces fear naturally. Great. How do we exploit that fear to rule and be more powerful?
Do you think that's
Very
what
good.
maybe the Jedi were doing in their studies with the Force in order to combat their fear of it?
Sure. I mean, I don't mean to make light of it, but I mean, I know as someone, I struggle with anxiety pretty badly. And one of the things that I know that I do is I have to bring truth to the thing I don't know. I have to find an answer to the thing I don't know. You equip yourself with tools and tricks to deal with those things. So if that's what they were doing, it totally makes sense.
Awesome. That's good knowledge right there. Carla, what say you?
I mean, I think a big component of it is the uncertainty of things. And if you look at the, Revenge of the Sith, when, basically the Senate falls and everyone's in disarray and they're like, whoa, like what's going on? We don't know what's going to happen now in the future. And then, Papa P comes in and, the first galactic empire, and everybody pretty much follows suit because they're afraid. They're fearful for their future and they're not quite sure, what's going to come from, the fall of this gigantic system, that was supposed to be infallible. But I think that's also what we're seeing now is, a few weeks ago, we were all going to work, going about our daily lives. And now her normalcy of every day has been stripped away within a week, couple of days. And it's scary, to know that this is all up in the air for all of us. And we don't know how this is going to, ultimately come to an end. I mean, I think it will come to an end and we have to be positive and think in a positive light. But, I think we do have to sometimes face that fear and realize like, whoa, like this is big. We don't know what's going to happen. And just take it day by day, but I think that unknown and that uncertainty definitely is a big role. And I think if you think about it in terms of Star Wars, the Empire used that to their advantage and keeping knowledge from people too, which I think maybe the government probably does. We're not going to go into that rabbit hole.
Right.
I will say, I believe the Force and lightsabers a lot more than I believe that a government made up of representatives from millions of planets could have ever worked at all. We have a government here that has two parties and they can't agree on anything. I don't think the Galactic Senate could have ever accomplished it.
Right. Yeah. That's a great point, Rob. It's like, we have two parties and we can't get anything right, and let alone the whole galaxy. Should we do a committee on the committee? So. But that's what the prequels are about. So there you go.
C-SPAN.
That's right.
I love democracy. I love the republic.
True words were never spoken.
Oh man. Yeah, exactly. So in the most recent Battlefront game, EA game, the Battlefront 2 actually had a story. And part of that story was the first time the Emperor spoke from the dead, and it was called Operation Cinder. And so I wanted to take a minute to kind of talk about that. But really, what it is that it was carried out by the Galactic Empire about 4 years after the Battle of Yavin. So, and a few weeks following the Battle of Endor. So that's kind of where this lies in the overall story. And the plan was devised by our good friend Papa P, to ensure that the Empire and its enemies did not outlive him, which is kind of interesting. It's like, hey, I even still have power when I'm dead. And I think that's another thing that Papa P uses as like a fear thing. It's just like, I'm going to do this, and you're going to be scared because I'm actually controlling things like behind the scenes, even when I'm dead. So what it really was like, he had these kind of like satellites in orbit, and he would then, and they would use these kind of, they're basically like death satellites is the best way to put it. And they attacked Naboo, which is obviously the home world of Palpatine, and then a couple other worlds, Vardos, Burnin Khan, some other names I can't even say because they're Star Wars names. But basically, he targeted a couple planets, and there's a lot of confusion because it's like, how is this happening when the Emperor's dead, and why is the Empire like destroying these planets? Has anyone played Star Wars Battlefront 2? Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
That's fine. You're like, no.
No.
What did you guys think of this part of the story with the Emperor?
I think what made it so effective within the plan for Operation Cinder was the fact that it wasn't just aimed at worlds that had fostered the rebellion. You talk about Vardos being one of the planets that was basically burned to cinders as part of this attack, and that was very much a imperial loyalist world. It was the home of Iden Versio and her family, who are kind of some of the main characters in that Battlefront campaign. And so it was kind of a message to the galaxy that that the wrath of the Emperor was pretty indiscriminate, and he was lashing out at everybody. He held his empire just as responsible for allowing him to be killed as he held the rebellion. And so I think, that has a big parallel to what we're talking about with the current coronavirus that's going around, because that's also pretty indiscriminate. I mean, anyone can get it. You really can't see it coming until you realize that you've actually got it. And Palpatine was doing the exact same thing. Only he and his commanders knew what the targets were on this list of worlds that he was punishing. And it was all part of his greater plan with the contingency. But there's, as it goes back to what Heather was talking about earlier, that uncertainty and not really, knowing all the information about the virus, not really knowing, if people around you have it and just aren't showing symptoms yet. There's a lot of unknowns there, and that I think feeds into a lot of the fear. Yeah,
there's this great quote in the Aftermath book, Empire's End. And this is Papa P talking to Gallius Rax, and it's basically, he says, if an empire cannot protect its emperor, then that empire must be deemed a failure. It collapses not only because its central figure is gone, but because it must not be allowed to remain. So it's like a contingency plan, like, hey, if I'm going to be gone and you guys can't protect me, then the whole thing has to fall. And that's where he's kind of like targeting all these different things, which is different planets, which is very interesting, I thought.
Are you familiar with the origin of the word decimate? So
no.
So it refers to this Roman army practice where if they were going to punish this unit for whatever reason, they would draw lots, so just random selection of every 10th soldier. So decim, 10, every 10th soldier.
Yes.
and they would just kill every 10th soldier. And so there's no rhyme or reason to it. Surely some of the people killed or responsible for whatever wrongdoing was being punished, but others weren't. And it's that indiscriminate nature of the punishment that really instilled this fear into the whole unit and kept them all in line. And so that's kind of the way that disease or pestilence works, is that there's no, it's kind of this great leveling phenomenon where it doesn't matter who you are, you may or may not be at risk for it, and it's just kind of random how it affects you. And so it's that you don't know if you're next kind of thing that really puts that extra fear into it. And I think that's the strategy that the Empire was going for with Operation Cinder, and that deciding to attack these planets, like some of them are strategic, but some of them just really aren't, and they're just kind of selected at random. And so that really adds to the fear element, I think.
Yeah, and Garrick Versio, who's Iden Versio's father, he says basically Operation Cinder is the last command of our Emperor and the first step in securing our future. So to your point, Aaron, it's like everyone's on edge and they don't know if the next planet's going to be targeted, right? And it kind of, in a sense, makes the Empire stronger, because like we really got to focus on doing better, and so I think that's kind of very interesting.
Yeah. Can I just say that it's kind of a stupid plan. There is the Roman comparison about killing every 10th soldier. But the reason that worked so effectively is because you're dealing exclusively with the military.
Yes.
They're already trained, they're already disciplined. And even if they might get shaken by the whole lottery, somebody might get killed, they might be next if they're not, shaping up, if they're not all trying their hardest. They're built for that. Civilians aren't. Civilians aren't built for that. And so you have this situation where, you're murdering families of military people. And in the case of Iden Versio, who ends up being like a real key turning point in the downfall of the Empire, she's like, I don't want my home getting destroyed. And and in the randomness factor of like any Imperial planet or Rebellion planet could get hit, in a galaxy that is being pushed by the Rebellion for like the average Joe Schmo to get up and fight, we see in Rogue One, the whole little council, they all gather around and they're like, we need to go, get these Death Star plans. And they're like, we're all going to die. So let's just lay down and give up. Right. Or when they all find out about the Death Star. Right? But in this case, if even an Imperial world, like a really loyal Imperial world can get burned, then, average Joe Schmo is probably going to be like, heck, even if my planet does team up with the Empire, that doesn't mean squat anymore, right? I'm probably just going to get burned, so I might as well pick up my blaster and go shoot some Imperials, because I'm going to die either way, I guess. So in a war of where you're fighting rebels, you're fighting the common man, and you're either trying to oppress them and make them afraid, like with blowing up Alderaan, like if you don't toe the line, if you don't toe the party line, this is what happens to you. And basically anyone can be a target now. You can't convince them of the safety, because it's safety versus death, right? It's the safety of the Empire. It's the safety of what happens if you clean all your buttons and shine your shoes and stay in school, versus the risk of death if you go shooting around in X-Wings with Luke and everybody but him and like two guys gets blown up. But now with Operation Cinder, that whole regime plot that the Empire has been built on is out the window. and I think it ultimately, ruins them. And you might argue that, oh, it's all in the plan, because he was on Exegol and he was building this fleet and he wanted the Empire to be gone. Nobody knew that was going to be a thing. Nobody knew that, he was going to come back from the dead as a clone and shoot mega lightning and take down a fleet and then get blown up again anyway. Nobody knew any of this. So no, that's not a valid argument in my mind. The only valid thing that I could see propping up Operation Cinder is that the Emperor is basically spiteful, because Sith tend to do that. Yeah. And he's like, without me, you're nothing. Nobody else gets to have this. Wipe it out.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Wipe them out. Oh.
Wipe them out. Basically, is his last, giving Darth Vader the bird giving Darth Vader the bird as he falls down the power shaft. I'm gonna blow up everyone now. Ha ha ha. That's the only thing I can imagine.
He thinks these are movies, right? He doesn't realize that's all real.
I also think he was trying to tell us to kids stay in school.
Oh, right.
I did hear that. Except for right now, you can't stay in school.
Right, yeah, not right now, but
You physically cannot.
but in general.
Right. So, okay. So one last quote, and then we gotta figure out how we turn this to positive. So, Garrick Versio says also to Iden, and he says, "The Emperor commands it. We will purge this planet and others. Fear shall spread, and the galaxy remember who is in control." So that's the main tool that the Emperor uses, is this fear, and that fear kind of keeps the commoners in place. Kind of to JD's point, I don't know what's going to happen, so should I stay in this current state or should I try to do something about it? So how do we become rebels or resistance in this current state we're in? Carla, what do you think?
We have hope.
Oh, okay.
Rebellions are built on hope.
No, but in all seriousness, I think that, it is something to use in a time where things seem pretty dark and gloom, and when you really have nothing else to hang on to, what else is there but just hoping that something, better will come at some point in the future. I think in our case, this is all temporary. Everything is temporary. Nothing lasts forever. And you have to remember that in times where, everybody's struggling and it's something that everybody's going through. And I think that's something that, looking at the Star Wars universe and the galaxy, the Empire had a strong grip on everyone, even if they weren't directly invading the planet or didn't have a direct presence on the planet. Everybody was feeling that fear and that tense the tense feeling, like, oh, we could be next, like you were saying, like with the virus, like it could be anybody, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. But I think, we just have to keep looking forward, looking to the future, and just hoping that things will get better. And I stand by my girl Leia.
Okay.
And have hope.
That's right. Rob, what do you think?
I think, again, there's a great parallel to the Rise of Skywalker, right? Where they talk about the First Order wins by making us feel like we're alone, and we're not alone. There's more of us. And I think what we're doing right now is one of the ways that we combat the isolation a lot of people are going to be feeling as they kind of shelter in place and try to maintain a distance. And, certainly I think that what we're being asked to do is a responsible thing. It's to try to keep from spreading what's going on out there. I think we should all be thinking of not just ourselves, but people around us, and the way that we carry our daily activities out. But I think that, a big part of it is a lot of what we talked about before even coming on the air, which is that whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, there's going to be people who need to at least have the option to find something to connect with while they're kind of trapped in their house. And I think that, being able to put podcasts and live streams and things like that out there for people to go listen to, have a little bit of enjoyment, take your mind off what's going on, turn off the TV for 5 minutes. That'll make you feel better.
What?
I know. Hard to believe, right? So I think that, what we're doing is a great first step.
There you go. Awesome. Heather, you got any fun tips?
I just echo a lot. I mean, we've been given a great opportunity in the time period that we're in, that we have resources to stay connected to people in ways that previous epidemics, whatever demic you want to have, they didn't have in the past.
Right,
I think this is the opportunity for people like JD to sit down and write the next great American novel, to yes to the mouse droid demic. I love it. I support all of that. Or to finally get to that pile in the corner of your house, that closet you've been meaning to clean out. I think one of the things that had me most concerned initially was seeing some things on social media, which I know you're never supposed to trust anything on social media, but this idea of parents being like, what do we do with our kids? And it made me really sad, because I'm like, I don't know, spend time with your children. Like,
What?
I know. I'm sorry.
Aren't they your
I mean, I'm
kids?
not a parent. I speak.
That is not true. You are a good cat mom.
I'm a very good cat mom. But spend the time with your kids that you might not have had before, or introduce them to Star Wars if you've not already done that. That's a good thing to do. And then my other favorite meme that I've seen is introverts check on your extrovert friends because they're suffering. So, as an introvert, I have no problem being by myself. I'm very entertaining on my own. Clearly. But help, reach out to the people who might need it. Check in with your parents, check in with a grandparent. One of the things that two of my friends did, the community they live in, they're kind of the oddballs of the younger group. The most of them are kind of in retired old. They basically printed out a letter and went door to door and just stuck the note on all the doors saying, hey, if you need us to go grocery shopping so you don't have to leave the house, just let us know what you need. I think that in itself is what's going to get us through this. And I mean, it's so stupid. I almost made the joke. I think Carla could have just said hope, and I think we could have stopped talking, because I really think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think hope is more than just that forward thought. I think hope is hope in that forward thought, hope in the people, hope in the good, hope in the news that's not being shared of those who have come out on the other side of this virus. They're not reporting on the cases that have been successful, to see that China has bounced back, to see people in Italy go out onto their balconies and sing together. That's what it is. It's hope. Okay. And
yeah.
And can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
I think we all also too have to remember to laugh, because these things are so serious and so heavy. And, there's a time to take it seriously, but you also have to laugh, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry, or in this case, you'll go insane. And I mean, the memes have just been gold coming out.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, and there's a lot of good Star Wars ones too. Like, so good.
So good. Yeah.
There's one of it's Anakin, and he's facing like this giant wall of toilet paper, and he's like, I want more, but I know I shouldn't.
yeah.
Like, you just have to, you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh about it.
Yeah, yeah. The one I saw today was awesome. Is when in A New Hope, when he's choking, Darth Vader's choking Captain Antilles, and he's like pre-corona chokehold, and then Empire. It's like he's choking from far away, like post-corona virus. Oh my gosh.
They resurrected the
Yeah. I
Boba
think
Fett bounty hunter staring at the roll of bounty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I agree. I think you have to have hope. I think you have to have laughter, and obviously continue to still have a community, even though technically you can't be. You have to be in community. If you isolate yourself, even though that's what it's called, you're going to go crazy. So I think those are all good tips. And then let's do crazy podcast people like us, and that'll get you through it. So. All right, Heather, let's get into some news of the week.
Okay, let me share some news with you that hopefully will be a little bit more exciting than your local 7 o'clock news. Our first story comes from cinemablend.com, and basically we have the headline, Star Wars Puppeteer reveals some surprising influences for everyone's favorite new character, Babu Frick.
Frick will make you laugh.
I mean, listen, I'm just saying. So he is the newest member to our family, and just kind of adorable. I think we'll just say that. His influences behind his character happen to be none other than the legendary actors of Joe Pesci and Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah, you got it.
What?
Same size as Joe Pesci.
Crazy. I was gonna say. I just find that to be two very odd people to connect together, but that's okay. So you take someone like Ernest Borgnine or Joe Pesci. So you say, what is it about these actors that draws you to them? Do they have a particular look to their face, an expression, a certain mannerism? When we're working on Babu, I don't know.
Mr. Frick.
Mr. Frick. We started with actors who could play him. If you could put them in costumes, let's find influences from other movies or roles that feel like what JJ has articulated to us, and then now we have to make him 8 inches tall. So you're taking some really big names with some great personality and mannerisms, and then just shrinking him down into his cute little size.
I like it.
Yeah, how do we feel? Are we seeing the resemblance of Joe and Ernest for those who know who? I mean,
Yeah,
I know who they are. I just don't know.
Yeah, I can kind of see it. For me, the role that Ernest Borgnine always stands out to me is the taxi cab driver in Escape from New York.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of this wild, off the chain kind of character. And I can kind of see a little bit of that in Babu Frick. Ernest Borgnine is also the voice of Mermaid Man from SpongeBob SquarePants, for those who've seen it.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yeah, so the kind of like kind of raving old man. Yeah. I could certainly see that.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, if you see a picture of Joe Pesci that's provided in this article, his little smushed face. I mean, it's there, people. It's there.
I know, he shrunk so much. I just want to give him a hug and tell him everything will be all right.
It tells you that I was born when I was that Airwolf is what jumps into my head with her.
Oh,
Right?
Airwolf, yes.
Man, some good stuff. It was no
That
street
was some
hawk.
good stuff, dude. Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, hopefully, oh, go ahead. Was someone talking? Am I getting weird feedback again?
You might be.
Podcasting. It's a blast.
More editing later.
I think that's a great honor to be modeled into a Star Wars character. But shall we move on to our second category?
What happened in
Okay.
1984?
Let me tell you what happened in 1984. Forbes.com is here to tell me that Warner's Brothers can turn Wonder Woman 1984 into the next Star Wars Avatar Aquaman.
What do those two have in common at all? Besides
I have
being
absolutely
movies?
no idea. I don't know.
And 9 Batman movies?
So, Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 1984 isn't going straight to streaming. But if Warner Brothers must delay the film's sequel, December 18th, making it this year's Star Wars Aquaman or Avatar would be ideal. Well, no, Wonder Woman 1984, which is the new film, is not, as of now, skipping theaters and going straight to streaming. Which, in light of a lot of things have been flying to streaming quicker, as I understand it. The superhero sequel is going to inspire a lot of chatter for the near future because it's a big summer flick that hasn't moved its release date. The film is currently slated for June 5th, 3 years to the weekend that the first Wonder Woman opened. Unlike some other films, such as Black Widow, F9, and the new Minions movie, is sticking. But in all likelihood, it could eventually get delayed. So, what is this going to do for us, you guys? Is 1984 going to become 2021?
I've been thinking about this with regards to movie releases in this time of social distancing and quarantine, and it's really going to shake up the industry, I think, because obviously movie theaters are these kind of large gatherings of people in close proximity, which is a big no-no during diseases. So I think it's time for Hollywood to have a shakeup. It's the inheritance of a very old business model to release first in theaters and then in streaming, when there's really no reason to practically, besides just keeping theaters in business. And it's not that I have anything against theaters. If I could watch every movie in a theater, I would. But it's just kind of a relic of a bygone age at this point. And I think if movie studios are forced to release straight to streaming during this time, it could really change things up in a way where we might see a lot of theaters close their doors, or the industry could experiment with this kind of dual release system where they release both to streaming and to theaters at the same time. And what would that mean as far as monetization for streaming? Because I think right now, I don't know if it's Pixar or Disney Animation Studios that released Onward straight to streaming.
Yeah.
But it's not to like subscription streaming services. You still have to pay to stream it. So are we going to have that kind of additional paywall behind streaming services for new release movies that are available to subscription later? In any case, I think it's time for it's long overdue for the movie industry to have a shakeup like this, and it'll be really interesting to see it play out, I think.
Well, I guess to counterpoint that, I don't think going to movie theaters is a relic of a bygone time. especially with the updates to things like visual projectors and sound quality that we've now able to achieve, like to the level of where pretty much every theater in the country is becoming an IMAX level movie, slowly but surely. And that is a kind of experience that only like millionaires can really get to have, right? With their custom, super
Your name was
amazing-
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, their custom, amazing, basement movie theater setup.
Yeah, and don't get me
So
wrong, I
it's-
still want that, but
Yeah.
whether that's going to be the norm from here on out, I don't know.
I hope it will, because I feel like the alternative that's facing us as the consumer is a situation where they say, okay, movie's done, we're going to put it on our streaming platform. If you want to watch it, that'll be, $10 or that'll be $12 or whatever. Because they know people will buy it. They know people will take that extra, amount of money to just sit there on their comfy couch and just instantly get to watch it. That instant gratification idea. And it will be horrible, I think, for the kind of decent understanding consumers have with movie and TV show companies right now, where it's like, okay, we'll give you a little bit per month and we get unlimited stuff back, right? And it's just enough fair, right? It's just enough fair, the amount of money we're giving and the amount of content we get available to us. But it would be so easy. It would be so easy, I think, in this day and age, especially with, the coronavirus and all that, for movie companies to say, okay, you know what? We're done with the theater business. It's not turning enough profit. If this ever happens again, we're going to lose so much money. Theaters are dead because we've decided it so, which would be horrible for, community and getting people together, big movie releases, all those premieres and hype things that you get and good memories that you get out of that. And then they would just go to what makes them more money, right? Because that is their default mentality for these companies. So I just hope that we don't get to that point where companies start considering, if we just put everything behind a paywall, we can probably make more money because people will give it to us. And then that might affect the prices of things like Netflix and Hulu, and it could just cascade into a big mess. And I just know that people will buy it. People will pay for it. They have no sense. My generation and the generation coming up has no sense of like good prices or not taking something that's overcharged, because they're so obsessed with instant gratification and things being right in your face, and it's convenient, and I get it, and it's appealing, but I would load that.
Well,
So much more bucks.
Right, yeah. It's like again, hey, you want to go see Star Wars? And they'll be like, nah, I'm just gonna get it on I'm just gonna sit and watch it at home. When a Star Wars, like going to the movies, like for these big kind of blockbusters, it's like an event. We want to go together. We want to go out to eat, go see the movie, have this kind of communal experience, and that's part of the movie experience. If you release it on the same day as a movie, it's a wash, JD. Like just like you said, it's like, if all six of us are here, 3 of us would go and 3 of us would watch it on TV and be like, well, I saw it. I didn't have to leave my house,
Yeah.
But you don't have that same experience. You don't have that same experience as seeing it in a theater opening night with everybody or opening weekend or whatever. You don't have that same sound quality, same picture, all that kind of feels that go into it. Again, you have a good home entertainment system, great, but like it's not the same experience. And if you give the consumer the option, they're going to always take the easier way, even if it costs a little bit more. So, yeah.
Heather doesn't sound convinced.
Well, because then I'm like, well, then fine. Then musicians shouldn't do concerts anymore and just film those and live stream them. Most sports are on television, so nobody needs to go to those anymore. I mean, we may as well just basically say, a lot of people can work from home, so let's basically just stay in our homes and not interact with humans ever again. And then
This is like a
Rob's like, woo! I mean, it's basically, where's my floating bed in the Wall-E movie? I mean, is this where we're headed?
Yeah.
I mean,
Probably.
I mean, I work at a book publisher, and I remember we were all paranoid when ebooks started accelerating, because everyone's like, this is it. This is the end of print books. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not the end of print books. The ebook craze has sort of steadied off. Print books kind of kicked back up a little bit. So I don't think we're in a place where they're going to go away. Will it look different? Maybe. Yeah. But I don't think they're going to go away, because we've all said it. Well, not all of us, but a lot of people in this podcast have said that moment when they're sitting in the theater and that Star Destroyer comes over your head and you're all like, like, you don't get that at home. So I know you're like, it's coming for me.
If you weren't there for it, it's still going on.
Yeah, right. It's like Spaceballs. It just keeps on going and going.
And going. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
I don't think the movie experience would ever truly disappear, because humans have this inner drive to socialize and to be with other people. So, I think even if they were to start to maybe experiment with putting movies straight to, streaming service, or, it's available to buy on your smart TV. Like Todd was saying, it's part of that experience of being with your family, your kids, your friends, getting out of the house and going somewhere, going to dinner, whatever it is. So I think that, even at the end of the day, if it is more convenient, will some people buy into that? Sure. But I think ultimately, as a whole, people are driven to congregate together and create these experiences and communities together.
Well said.
I think that is a valid point, to Heather and Carla both. I don't think we can predict what is going to happen. I do think that movies are in a category of, a lot of people love the theater experience. A lot of people hate the theater experience. But they go because, again, it's the fastest thing, right? They don't want to be out of the loop. They got that FOMO going on. They don't want to show up with all of their friends, and everybody's talking about the new Star Wars movie, and they're all like, oh yeah, I saw that. So they go to be part of things. And so I do think it would at least hurt and potentially drastically downsize the movie theater experience if instant streaming was an option. Because the people who want to go to concerts, the people who want to go to sports events, the people who want to go to those types of things, the people who have no interest in those social events already don't go. The people who aren't interested or don't like going to theaters, as somebody who works in a movie theater for several years, you run into a lot of them. They go because it's the only thing that's going to let them see this movie and not wait for a month. And so you shift the population, I think, a lot, specifically with movies. I don't know if it's really a field that applies to many other situations. But this is all prediction. This is all speculation. And we got to have hope.
Rob, what do you think?
I try not to. I mean, I feel very much the same as what you were talking about, that especially with things like Star Wars and the mega blockbuster films, that it's an experience to see them in the theater, not just because of the quality of the projectors and the fact that, as JD was saying, everything is moving to an IMAX, or they've got D-Box, they've got all these different types of technologies that incorporate into the theater, the awesome sound systems, etc. But because when something happens on screen and the whole audience erupts or the whole audience laughs or whatever, it is electrifying to be in that kind of environment. So you look at the stuff that got released to video, like Onward, and I know there were a few other films. I think several of them for sure had already been in the theater and were not exactly performing incredibly well. So I think that they were kind of an easy offering to say, here, we're going to release this to video and let people have something to watch while they're home. And I don't think that at all, but I don't know that they would be willing to do that with something like the Black Widow film, things that they're talking about delaying. And to the point of this article in general, the fact that they think that Avatar 2 is ever coming out just amuses me to no end. So
the quest for unobtainium 2, electric boogaloo.
We'll see the next Skywalker saga movie before we see Avatar 2.
Well, I think it's safe to say, whether you're streaming or we get to go to the theater, we will still see quality films. But I'm going to move us forward because this is a very interesting news item. Ah! I love us. Okay. So this is a fun news item that comes from GentleGiantLTD.com. You, and I'm talking about you, could own a Darth Vader Milestones statue from The Empire Strikes Back. It's him. He's got his lightsaber. He's got the fist of "I'm your father."
Oh my god.
But it is pre-order, so that's kind of a downer. Oh, and it's $600.
Only?
Only. I mean, there might be tax and shipping, but
As
a fairly reasonable amount of money.
As Krennic would say,
$600.
"Oh, it's beautiful."
It's a pretty big statue, though. It's 16 inches.
Right. It's gorgeous. It's really well done, but it is $600.
Well,
I mean, that's like a rent payment somewhere.
well,
Not
if
in Chicago, but still.
No,
If you
that
find on-
literally is more than rent payment in Chicago for like the average bear for the month.
Yes.
Only worth it if you can actually see Maz Kanata down there catching Luke's hand with the lightsaber in it. I need the backstory.
Yeah, Maz is just in one of those little tubes that Luke fell into. She's just like hurries away.
So,
yeah, maybe if you get your check from Trump, this is what you spend it on.
Trump bucks.
Yep, your Trump change.
Trump change.
There you go.
Rob, would you spend $600 on this bad boy?
Well, don't look at the wall behind me. Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. I mean, I think it's comparable to a lot of the Sideshow collectible figures that may even have better detail, and those are about half the price. So, as much as I think it's a cool figure, I would look for value too. At least I can fight with the lightsabers on the wall.
It's true.
I would pay $200 for this and no more.
200. That's
200. Okay, that's your price.
2 hundos. Yep.
the price. You can get your own custom lightsaber built by these guys called Ultra Sabers for like $50 or $60.
That's true.
And literally like spec it out. You can go up to like max a couple hundred, I think, for all the different little twerks and material. And
No, it's a lot more
anything.
than 400.
Yeah, anything you want on this.
So,
I think I'd rather spend it on that. Because even the cheap end is nowhere near 600.
I mean, it's a pretty impressive figure. Not gonna lie.
If it was like life size, I think I'd do it.
Yeah,
But
I'd pay $600 for a life size. But man,
No.
pretty impressive find.
Yep. So, but that's all I have. Those are all of my news items.
for
right.
2 of those statues, you can buy yourself a life-sized Easter Island head.
Wow.
That's one way to spend the money. Yep.
Yeah,
Or you could get something for the 501st. You know what I'm saying?
right here. There you go.
Yeah, that's a potential costume right there.
That's
Seriously,
right.
right? Yeah.
It's a bit bigger than 16 inches.
just want to know what prompted you to look that up.
Long story, but when my parents were looking at landscaping options for their house, my brother, as a joke, just looked up like the strangest, one of those Sky magazine articles or something about different things you can put in your front garden, and they had a sale on Easter Island statues.
Leave it to JD to bring up the skewer.
Yep.
Had to be a story. I just wanted to know what it was.
Well,
All right. Well,
on
I
that
think
note,
that about does it for our news of the week, and that about does it for the episode. So, JD, you want to play us out?
Any last minute thoughts? Any last requests, last meal for anyone?
Oh, wait, I have a little PSA. So,
Go ahead.
so for anyone who's interested, the Rebel Legion is doing a little PR series right now called Reading Rebels. And what we're doing is members are dressing up in their costumes, and we're recording ourselves reading Star Wars stories, and we're posting it on our social media pages.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's,
Nice.
for the kids, a little something for them to watch. I think we're also planning to send them to the hospitals as well, so the kids can watch there. But I wanted to throw that out.
sounds good. Thank you.
Cool.
All right, JD,
Well.
let's hear it.
If that's all, I will close this out for the evening. Thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR Galactic Public Access. Once again, check us out on social media, WSTR Media, all one word, all lowercase. We want to hear from you. So comment, tweet, rate us on Apple Podcasts. If you give us a 5-star rating, 5 stars, we will throw in some swag, or swag for free. You don't even have to spend your truck bucks on that swag. RT or email us a screenshot of the rating, and we will read it on the next podcast. Email us at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. Leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR, 630-557-9787. This way you can leave a voicemail and we can play it on an upcoming podcast and pretend to listen to it in the episode, but it will be in post, so don't worry. You've got all of our back catalog of episodes at podcast.wstrmedia.com. You got nothing better to do while quarantined. Why not go listen to 163 episodes of ramblings and nonsense? We've got merch, store.wstrmedia.com, Patreon, patreon.com/WSTRmedia. And of course, Rob, it was fantastic to have you on the show. It was a great honor having you.
I don't know about the honor part, but I had a great time. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Good. Where can people find you, Rob? Where are your socials? Plug them again.
So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest at JTA Podcast. You can email us at jtapodcast@gmail.com. Certainly find all our episodes on your favorite podcast platform or our website, jtapodcast.com. And you can leave us a voicemail at 201-746-5827. That's JTAP. So look forward to hearing from you guys. Todd, again, was a wonderful guest. Talked some Knights of Ren and talked 501st with me end of last year as well. So I've had him on a couple of times. We always have a great time.
Thanks,
Got
Rob.
yourselves a new follower.
Is there any upcoming episodes that you want to plug?
I'm looking at working on a series with Pro from Scarif Podcasts about the making of Star Wars stuff. Looking forward to that. And I think we're going to be doing an episode tomorrow on the relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka, kind of leading up to, it's either going to either be that or I'm going to do a Captain Rex episode. I kind of want to do some things that are pertinent to season 7 of Clone Wars. So we've got the Darth Maul episode, a couple episodes back, the first half. What Darth Maul episode wouldn't be better in 2 parts?
Well, cool stuff, everyone. Thank you all for coming once again. Aaron, Carla, Heather, Todd, and all of you lovely people who stayed through this somehow. Next week, episode 165. Something Star Wars. We'll hopefully figure it out by then, or maybe we will all be dead. Who knows?
Oh my gosh.
But tune in next week to find out. You won't know until you come next week. Also, don't forget, we have a contest, Road to 3,500 by May the 4th. May the 4th. It's on Twitter. Head over there. The good old WSTR Twitter stuffs. Go take a look. And of course, as our traditional method, which when I guest starred on here and when I started out as a host, I butchered all the time. So let's try it. Let's go.
All right.
Now this
is podcasting.
Quarantine stream.
Orange Stream. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, Yoda.